talking about using radioactivity cook. Man, there's a lot of opinions on gas stoves here. Richard K. So is the judge opening up trading? We still don't know. There's not going to be an injunctive relief, like an emergency relief, to open up trading. He's going to wait for the argument from FINRA before he traditionally would rule on such an injunction. So no emergency injunction, no TRO. But Roza did file for him to reconsider, saying basically FINRA's reasons for why you shouldn't do this are bullshit. And here is what the real case law says. So hopefully he reads that and he goes, oh, FINRA just tried to pull a fast one on me. I ruled too quickly. Let's sanction FINRA and give Roza a high five. That's kind of, I think, where we're at. Okay. GT322 says MMTLP are trading 23 to 27 January 2023. There's a lot of rumors saying that there's, they're going to open up gray market trading. They're going to do trading here and there some point in the next month. I have no way of verifying that other than there's just been rumors people spout on space calls, and I'm not going to say one way or the other if that's ever going to happen. So people are saying it's going to happen, but I don't know. There was like, oh, they're going to open up 5 days of trading. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They make position close only. I mean, it'd be awesome if they did. There's speculation that they'd open up trading, and if you ask too much for your shares, they'd immediately just like put your shares into they're just going to get NextBridge file and only sell or only buy reasonable prices, which tells me as a community that if they're opening up trading for 5 days, if they do, no one put in a limit order until day 5. No one sell, no one agree to anything. You just wait, and they can buy up 500 million shares on day 5, if that's how they're going to do it. They're immediately just going to like, oh, you want $1,000 for your share? Yeah, we're not going to bother with you. We're going to stick you over into this side. Then just no one do a limit order until, heck, no one do a limit order until there's an hour left in trading on day 5, if that's how they're going to roll it, right? Show them just how much they owe us. And don't let them kick the can. Don't let them, name their price. We get to name our price because they have to close their positions. We don't have to sell. And that's how it should be done. I see there's lots of roses for Roza popping up in the chat as well. In Too Deep, Houston, I have a cash account, so I don't have lending set up. Also, I contacted my local news, and they haven't responded at all. It might, if you get like someone who's hungry enough in the local news, you might get lucky. It might be a hard sell though to figure out like how Sacramento 5 gonna make this story, but it would probably be someone looking to do a story and get their national news exposure. So talk to them, be like, hey, you did a good enough story on this, you can get this sucker on MSNBC or the nightly news or something from the local affiliate. So I think that's a selling point if you're going to try and make it attractive to your local news guy. Alexander Zaroff, he's a federal judge. If this is your first filing in front of him without prior knowledge, be thankful he advised about your initial filing. Rule 8, well pleaded. I mean, that's her filing was the one she submitted today is really, really good. I'm saying that as a complete layman, but I've read my share of filings as a result of going to court a whole bunch. It's dynamite. It's top notch. It's the type of thing that if you were doing a class on securities law or something, you would probably want to hold that up as this is what you want to do. This is how you do it. I would not hold up last Friday's filing from FINRA that way. That that was written at like a fourth grade level. It was really kind of sad. Like I was like, ew, this doesn't even like feel good to read. I don't feel like I'm learning anything. And that's, I don't know. I'm a total layman, but I want to feel like when I read a filing, I'm going, oh, that's a good point. That's interesting. That tickles like my hippocampus or something. And I didn't get that from it was the FINRA's response was not interesting. And if I were a judge, I'd want interesting. I want something that makes me go, yeah, this seems like an interesting case. Let's go further. Kabo, and where in her filing does she prove FINRA did it outside of their regulatory obligation? I mean, you can read it. She basically points out, like, hey, the regulatory obligation was to make sure the stock didn't trade. And then they let it trade, which was against the regulatory obligation because there isn't a single document that was filed by Metamaterials or Torchlight that said, yeah, you can trade this thing. No problem. It all explicitly said, do not trade. And then they allowed market makers to create a market. Those market makers use outdated information from a company that no longer exists to trade these shares. And then when Metamaterial went to FINRA and said, hey, this is supposed to trade, FINRA was like, oh, too late. That was the regulatory response. And then they allowed it to continue to be shorted. And that's, as Rosa pointed out, it's like taking someone's bank account and allowing it to trade in the stock market. That's not how it's supposed to work. So that's why it was a preferred share that was an untradeable preferred share. So basically FINRA dropped the ball when it came to regulating. And when it came crunch time, when they were supposed to like maybe force close the stuff out, because what was Torchlight or Metamaterials' response to when FINRA was like, too tough shit, it's going to trade. Their response was, all right, well then we'll make the company go private, and then you got to close out these positions. And when it came time to actually say, hey, brokers, you're going to have to close out these positions, FINRA went, it's going to cost a lot of money, cancel. And that's basically what they did, citing the settlement issues. But the settlement issues arose because we have too many fake shares in people's accounts. So we can't settle anything with the distribution of these NextBridge shares. So it's FINRA dropped the ball. And FINRA dropped the ball not because, they weren't doing their job regulating. They dropped the ball because they specifically were meant to drop the ball to help their cronies, help GTS and Andrew and Rubenstein. So Ari Rubenstein. That's basically what it is, and we've all been harmed as a result of it. They weren't doing their job as delegated to them by Congress. They were insiders fucking shit up. That's what they were doing, and as a result, shit's fucked up. So there. Ted Tremendous, talk about Dave Lauer experience. Rosa change your mind. I don't think she mentioned it when she was talking about here, but to me, she's like, I think I changed his mind on the whole thing. And it sounded like she was talking about the stuff FINRA didn't do earlier. Like she's like, ignore the U3 halt. Let's talk about how FINRA dropped the ball over the last 2 years on this to begin with, and that led to the U3 halt. And I mean, when I was talking with Dave, we're messaging back and forth. It was, I said U3 halt caused more problems than it solved. And he was like, but they're totally within the right because, they weren't going to be able to settle all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, they would have been able to settle this stuff. Because it was broker settling anyway. They would have been fine settling these things. And he was like, but now the shorts are trapped. It's not fucked. I'm like, but the shorts are only fucked if there's a market where they're forced to close. If there's no market where they're forced to close, then they aren't experiencing the infinite risk that they took on. Right now, they're trapped in a stock that's worth $0. That's exactly what they want. That is, cool, it's $0. I don't owe anything. And they can sit back, relax, and they just got away with murder, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't trap them unless you're trapping them by making them pay a fortune, by making it so prohibitively expensive for them to ever pull something like this again. That is what you want. You want to punish them in their pocketbook. And right now they are not getting punished in their pocketbook. So until they're punished in their pocketbook, you have not trapped them. They are not FINRA.